Okay, today we're going to be dividing integers. Integers basically whole numbers. They might be positive, they might be negative, but we're dealing with integers, right? Whole numbers, but we're also going to be dealing with decimals, okay? Now, I'm going to use division as two different ways, or I'm going to write it as two different ways. I can write it as a fraction. You guys see 41 and 42 to begin with. I'm going to write it as a fraction because fraction means division. But I'm also going to use a symbol we're familiar with, a little line with two dots. That also means division. So I'm going to use both cases. Now, let me ignore the signs right now, like positives, negatives. Let me ignore those. When it comes to fractions, when it comes to this case, fractions, the number at the bottom is going to go outside of a little radical, a radicand. So we're going to use this thing. We're going to call it a little house for right now. Let's call it a house. The number at the bottom goes outside. The number on the top goes inside. So I'm just going to write 1,332 inside. Now I'm going to write 37 outside. Again, the number on the top goes inside. The number at the bottom goes outside. So I need to see how many times does 37 go into 1,332. Now we're going to break this little by little. Now 37 is two digits, right? I see two digits on the other side first. 37 is bigger. So in this case, I have to look at three digits. How many times does 37 go into 133? Now, for us to see, 37 is about 40, right? How many times will 40 go into? I'm going to say it, I think it goes in 3 times. Intentionally, today, for the lecture, some of my tries, right now I said, let me try 3. Some of my tries, intentionally, I'm going to do them wrong, but it's okay. You know, we can make mistakes. We go back and fix them. So let's see. Let me see if actually 37 goes into 133 3 times. The way I'm going to do this, I'm going to go 3 times 7, right? The first number here on the right, 3 times 7 is 21. So let me write a 1 and carry the 20. And then 3 times 3, right? First I went 3 times 7. Now I go 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9 plus the 2, it's 11. Now I'm going to subtract these. I'm going to say I did okay if my result, 133 minus 111, is less than 37. It has to be less than the number on the outside. If it's less than 37, I'm going to say good. I'm good here. So let's see. 3 minus 1 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, 22 is less than 37, so we're good. Now here, let me bring down this 2. So now we're looking at how many times does 37 go into 222? Okay, so it looked like 40, right? I said 37 is about 40. Let me try 5. Let me see if 5 is correct. I'm going to go 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 3 is 15 plus the 3 is 18. Let me subtract this. Okay, so I cannot go 2 minus 5. So this 2 becomes a 1 because I borrowed. Now 12 minus 5 is 7. 11 minus 8 is 3. 37 is not less than 37, so we did it wrong. 35, I mean the 5 that we guessed on the top was too small. Okay, so let me try 6 then. Let's see, 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 40. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 4 is 22. 222 minus 222, I think we can tell it's 0. So cool. Once my remainder, once I subtract this and I have no more numbers, once my remainder is 0, I stop. My result is going to be 36. Now I take a look at the signs. When there's 2 negative signs, my answer is positive. So, okay, so positive 36. When there's 1 negative sign, so when the signs are the same, let me say that again. The signs are the same, so both of them are negative, both of them are positive. The answer is positive when the signs are the same. Now, if the signs are different, it doesn't matter which one's bigger. As long as the signs are different in division, my result will be negative. All right, so let's take a look at question number 42. I'm going to do this little box. 3,330 goes inside and 74 go outside. Again, for the beginning, I ignore the signs. And I'm looking at how many times does 74 go into 333. Okay, so let's see, 7 will go into 33 4 times, right? If I'm just looking at my first number with this 2, 7 goes into 33 4 times. So let's try that. Let's see, 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 7 is 28, plus the one we're carrying is 29. Let me subtract this. This becomes a 2, so 13 minus 6 is 7. 12 minus 9 is 3. Okay, 37 is less than 74, so we're good. Let me bring the next number. How many times does 74 goes into 370? I will say 7 goes into 37 5 times, right? So let's try that out. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. I subtract this, I get 0. Now my answer will be negative, because on the numbers at the beginning, only one of them was negative. So my answer is negative 45. Now let's take a look at number 43. The second number, the one that comes after the division sign, is the number that goes outside. So how many times does 22 go into 1,034? So I think 22 into 10, I can't, because 22 is bigger. 22 into 103. Okay, so let's try a 4. Let's see if we try this well. 4 times 2 is 8, and then 4 times 2 is 8. This 10 becomes a 9. Now 13 minus 8 is 5. And 9 minus 8 is 1. Yeah, 15 is less than 22, so we're good. Now, let me bring down the next number. Let's see, 2 will go into 15 about 7 times, right? So let's try 7. 7 times 2 is 14. Carry the 10. 7 times 2 is 14, plus the 1 is 15. Subtract this, I get nothing. My answer in this case is positive 47. Now let's take a look at number 44. Always feel free to pause the video if you need to. So 28, how many times does 28 go into 392? I see 28 into 39. Okay, that can happen. I'm going to say 1 time. 1 times 8 and 1 times 2. When I subtract this, 39 minus 28 gives me 11. 11 is less than 28, so we're good. Let's bring down the next number. Now, how many times does 28 go into 112? Let's see. What if we tried, because 20 is about 30. 30 into 112. So if it's like 3 or 4, let's try the 4. Let's see, 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 2 is 8, plus the 3, it's 11. I subtract this, I get nothing. My answer is positive 14. Nice. The numbers were positive, both were positive to begin with, so my answer is positive. Now let's take a look at number 45. 45 through 48, I'm gonna be dealing with decimals. Now for decimals, what we're going to do is that the number at the bottom, or the second number, if we're looking at fractions, 45 and 46, the number at the bottom cannot be a decimal. The number at the top, we don't care, but the number at the bottom cannot be a decimal. Now, question 47 and 48, the second number, right? The number that goes at the bottom of the fraction or outside of the box cannot be a fraction. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to fix those in a minute. First, let's take a look at number 25. I'm gonna draw my division sign and I'm gonna write 88.6 and the 20 outside. The number outside cannot be decimal. Now there's a decimal on the inside. So let me bring it straight up. There you go. So I'm looking at how many times does 20 go into 88? I'm gonna say it's about 4 times, right? 4 times 0, 4 times 8. Now 88 minus 80 is 8. Let me bring down the next number. So now I'm looking at 86. 20 goes into 86. I'm gonna say about 4 times. 4 times 0, 4 times 2 is 8. When I subtract this, I get a 6. Okay, so I don't have a remainder of 0. When that happens, you continue. You continue until your remainder is 0. Now you don't have any more numbers. You can always add a 0 here at the end. All right, we're going to stop once a remainder is 0. Now 20 goes into 60. I'm going to say about 3 times. 3 times 0, 3 times 2. My remainder now is 0. So my answer is 4.43. The numbers were both positive to begin with, so my answer is positive. Let's take a look at number 46. Inside the box, I have a 26.6, and outside I have a 7. My number inside has a decimal, so I'm going to bring it straight up. Then I see how many times does 7 go into 26. I'm going to say about 3 times, because 7 times 3 is 21. When I subtract this, I get a 5. 5 is less than 7, so we're good. Let me bring down the next number. How many times does 7 go into 56? I'm going to say 8 times. Because 8 times 7 is 56. My remainder is 0, so I stop. My answer in this case is 3.8. So I said, in this case, the number at the bottom cannot be a decimal. But now the question is, what if it is? What if I have a decimal? Let me show you guys something that I have here. Let's say I have 2.66 divided by 0.7. Let's say I have something like that. Okay, what happens when the bottom is a decimal? I'm going to move the decimal place in order to avoid decimals. I'm going to move it one place to the right. But if I do it at the bottom, I got to do it on top as well. So that will give me 26.6 divided by 7. Now, I'm not going to do that again because that's question 46. But notice that you can move the decimal place in order to avoid decimals at the bottom. Same thing I'm going to do 47. My second number cannot be a decimal. So on each of my numbers, let me move my decimal one place to the right. So that's going to give me negative 688 divided by 43. Right. Notice I move my decimal one place to the right because the number at the bottom cannot be decimal. Okay, so now I'm going to divide. 688 goes inside and 43 goes outside. I'm dealing with decimals in this case, so let me put my decimal point because I might have it. I might have a decimal point. Let's see. 43 goes into 68. I'm going to say 1 time. 1 times 3, 1 times 4. When I subtract this, 68 minus 43 is 25. Let me bring down the next number. Okay, so 43 into 258. To be honest, I only look at one number here and two numbers here. 40 into 25, that's about 6, right? So let's see. Let me try a 6. 6 times 3 is 18, so carry the 10. 6 times 4 is 24, plus the 1 is 25. When I subtract this, I get nothing. So my answer is 16 point, or just 16. Now, when it comes to the signs, negative 16. Cool, it didn't have to be a decimal as an answer, so that's great. Now, I call it negative because of my numbers to begin with. Only one of them was a negative. Now looking at 48. Let me move my decimal one place to the right on each. So I'm going to have 658 divided by a negative 376. Okay, so let me draw my little box. 658 goes inside, 376 goes outside. Now 376 into 658, let me try to 1. 1 times 6, 1 times 7, and 1 times 3. 658 minus 376 is 282, which is less than 376, so we're good. For us to continue, I guess let me add a 0 there. So then I see, all right, 3 into 28. It could be 9 or it could be 7, because 376 is almost 400. 400 into 2800. I'm going to try a 7 instead. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 7 is 49, plus the 4 is 53. 7 times 3 is 21, plus the 5 is 26. When I subtract this, 2,820 minus 2,632, I get 188. Okay, let me bring down the next 0. Okay, so let's try a 5. 5 times 6 is 30, so we carry a 3. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 3 is 38, so we carry a 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. When we subtract this, we get nothing. So there, it's going to be negative 1.75. Negative because of my numbers to begin with, only one of them was negative.